Last week I wrote in my journal that I felt like everyone knew this grand secret about living life that I didn't know, that everyone knew the code, and if I had just known, then all of this would be easier for me. And it was quite an embarrassing and isolating thought to feel like I was doing everything wrong and everyone knew how to do life except for me. And sometimes I still think that. I think it's easy to feel like you're doing everything wrong when everyone seems to be doing so well and you feel like you're floundering and still trying to figure it out. I keep thinking to myself, like, when does it get easier? When will I hit my stride? When will I stop feeling like I'm figuring things out and have it figured out? And if you feel this way too, you're not alone, because I feel this way all the time. Maybe we all feel this way. I was watching a Damon Dominique video earlier this week, and he mentioned something called phantom work. And the focus of his video was how he organizes himself and not at all on what phantom work was. But I had never heard that term before, and giving a name to how I've been feeling for the past couple of weeks was oddly liberating. So I want to talk about what phantom work means to me and how it was introduced to me via this Damon Dominique video. He was describing how he organizes his life and how if you don't take control of your time and really be mindful on how you're spending your time, you're kind of stuck in this limbo where you're doing phantom work, where you're floating about without direction and without purpose and just going through the motions without feeling like you're getting anything done. And that is exactly how I'm feeling. I feel like I am a bystander in my own life. Days pass me by and I barely notice. And even though I'm working day after day, it almost feels like I'm spinning my wheels and going nowhere. And that was a really sad realization for me, to feel like I had little to no control over the time that I spend. And it also made me realize that I don't want to feel like a phantom anymore. I don't want to feel like I am floating about without any regard for my own time and my own life, really. I don't want to float about anymore. So after that realization, I was inspired to get my shit together, quite frankly. And I wanted to share some of the ways with you that I'm getting my shit together, because maybe you've been feeling this way too. Maybe you're in a slump and you need a way to get out of it. Or maybe you're just looking for encouragement to keep going if you've already found your groove. This is what I'm doing. And hopefully it can help you too. I took a lot of inspiration from Damon Dominique's video, and if you don't currently watch Damon Dominique, I highly recommend him. I've been watching him since I was in college, and he inspired me to learn more French. He inspired me to study abroad. It's been really cool to feel like you grow up next to your favorite creators. And so in the off chance that Damon Dominique is watching this video, I want to thank you for sharing your perspective on how you organize yourself. All right, buckle in. We're starting in Notion. So I took a lot of inspiration from Damon Dominique's video, and I basically copied his Notion template almost to a T. I've added a few pages in there that I think will help me in my brain dumping creative process, but a lot of the process that I have with Notion now has to do with a weekly outlook. I have a project tracker, which I use to kind of track longer term projects, and as those longer term projects become individual tasks, I divide those individual tasks into my weekly outlook. So as you can see, I have a day by day tab, and each day is divided into AM, PM, and personal. And I took this directly from Damon Dominique's video, so if you like this template, I'll link his video down in the description below so you can kind of see in more detail what his organization process is. I've only been using this template for a week, and I feel like it's really helped me in understanding what tasks I feel like should get done on what days, and on top of that, splitting my days into AM and PM so it doesn't feel so overwhelming. And I can kind of like shift my brain between AM and PM. So if I know that in the morning I tend to be a little bit slower, I like to take my time to get ready in the morning, I can schedule my less pressing tasks during that time. But when I have some momentum, when I feel super productive, when I'm ready to tackle some bigger tasks, I can put those in my PM block. And it just helps me break up my day. I also like to put personal in there, similar to Damon's video, because domestic labor and keeping our home clean and keeping myself healthy and keeping all of the personal tasks that must be done throughout the day is essential work. And I feel like I want to credit myself for that productivity as well and not treat domestic labor like it is not work, because that is part of productivity. productivity is keeping yourself and your space aligned. That's kind of where I'm at with Notion. It's been really, really helpful to use this template. Something that I added today actually is this tab called Musings of an Idle Mind, and I want to use this as like a brain dump, brainstorm, random ideas, essays I want to write, little notes to myself, things that I hear throughout the day, kind of like a commonplace book, but as a part of my Notion rather than keeping it on a written page. So I'm hoping that this will stick. If I find any tweaks help me in the future, I'll go ahead and share that with you guys, but highly recommend this so far. I'm really enjoying it. The other thing that I adopted from Damon's video is utilizing my Google Calendar. I think there's still a lot more that I can do in utilizing my Google Calendar, but I've started to slate specific blocks of time for specific types of work that I want to do. So for example, Tuesdays are now my filming days, and I make sure that I plan my video beforehand, which means I need to write and script on Thursday or Friday, and I need to plan out my shot list on Saturday or Sunday, things like that. And I think that's been really helpful in aligning myself and creating systems to help me be more productive. Again, this is all very new to me. These are just things that I'm trying. So I'm just trying to take away as much friction as possible when I'm performing tasks that I need to do repeatedly. And I'm hoping that time blocking will help me do that. So like for example, I really want to start writing again, and I want to start practicing writing. I want to start becoming an essayist because that's always something that I've wanted to do but never gotten the chance to. So I'm committing an hour every afternoon to either researching or writing, and I feel really excited about it. I feel like it's similar to going to the gym or working out. Any type of skill that you want to hone in on requires dedication and constant work. So time blocking and Google Calendars have become my best friend, and I think it's also important to block off time to commit to myself and to commit to my work, because now that I'm self-employed, I fell into the trap of thinking that all of my time is free time. So if a friend wanted to grab brunch on one day and then another friend wanted to grab lunch on another day and then dinner, it became hard for me to say no because I wasn't committing time to myself. I felt like all of my time was free time, so of course, why wouldn't I say yes to a friend? But if I really want to commit to this self-employment and I want to commit to my creative practice, I have to ensure that I'm treating it like a job. I have to commit time to myself. I have to ensure that I'm showing up every single day, regardless of if I'm not technically answering to anyone. I'm answering to myself and I'm committing to myself. So why would I not commit a schedule to myself? Something else I really want to be mindful about is how much content I'm allowing myself to consume. And that's not to sound restrictive, but more so I want to be mindful of the content I'm consuming. I think we forget that the content we engage with affects us in some way, or at least I forgot. I didn't really think about how mindlessly scrolling for hours on end can really affect my mood, can affect how productive I feel throughout the day. And if I'm inundated with other people's voices or points of view, if I'm inundated with other people's creative style, how am I expected to create from a place that comes from me? And on top of that, I feel like I want content to add to my life instead of distracting from it. I've gotten to a place where consuming content, specifically watching TikTok or YouTube, has become a form of escapism for me, and I am tired of running away from myself. I want to engage with content that adds to my life or teaches me something new, gives me some sort of new perspective, and maybe that new perspective is simply entertainment, which is okay, but I want to be a lot more mindful on what I am consuming. On top of consuming less or being more mindful about the content that I consume, how I'm doing that in practice is I'm devoting one day a week to not consume any content, or at least not consume any fast-paced content. I'm not including reading in this because for me, reading is a lot more slow, it's a lot more intentional, but I am committing one day a week where I'm not watching any TikToks, I'm not going on Instagram, I'm not watching YouTube, and I'm allowing myself the time and space to digest all of the content, all of the interactions that I've had throughout the week, and allowing myself to sit with it and decide what to keep in my brain and what to dispel. I'm hopeful that this day of cleanse, this day of allowing myself to digest, will give me a greater sense of creativity when I do start to engage and when I do start to create. I especially wanted to highlight how creating makes me feel a lot better than consuming. I think I got stuck in this negative feedback loop where I was constantly just drowning myself in content. It was so much noise that I could barely decipher what ideas were my own and what ideas were other people's. And I think if I want to engage with you and engage with our community here in a way that is both meaningful to myself and meaningful to you, I have to give myself the time and space to decide what perspective I have and to share my perspective with you rather than just regurgitating things that I've heard from various places on the internet. I'm still practicing this, but my day of cleanse, my day of social media silence will be on Wednesdays. And I chose Wednesday because that's also the day that my partner and I have chosen to spend time with each other. And it's a day we both kind of step away from our screens and spend intentional time together, whether that be going for a walk together, going for a hike together, spending time outside, going to eat at a new restaurant. We have chose that day collectively to step away. So I think it's the perfect day to also just take it a step further and spend some time with myself too. Maybe you can choose a day to not consume anything. I kind of like a social media day of silence where you just go quiet on social media. The world will keep spinning. You will still be there. I will still be there. This is a message to my future self. You don't need to log on every single day. You're not gonna miss much. Anyway, Wednesdays, maybe you join me. All right, coming close for this one, we're gonna do a little thought exercise. Imagine you hire someone and that person tells you that you will get XYZ done today. Or this person tells you like, oh, I'll for sure have that task done by the end of the day. And then they don't have that task done by the end of the day. And they say, oh, I'm so sorry, I got distracted. I will have that task done by tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and they tell you again, like, oh shoot, I didn't finish that task like I told you I would. Once, twice, maybe you excuse it. But if this person is constantly missing deadlines and not showing up and not completing things when they said they would, you would think, wow, this person is really unreliable. And when it comes to other people, we can easily say like, hey, I can't rely on this person. But when it comes to yourself, and you constantly tell yourself that you'll get to it tomorrow, it makes you realize like, oh, I'm not even being reliable for myself. And that was a really rude awakening for me because I am the queen of procrastination. I constantly tell myself that I'll get something done tomorrow. And I've had enough. I want to be able to rely on myself. I want to be able to know in my core that I am a reliable person and I can show up for myself if I say I'm going to show up for myself. It's really easy for me to show up for other people. I am an extremely reliable friend. I am an extremely reliable colleague. But when it comes to showing up for myself, I find it really hard for some reason. It's easy to pass off excuses to myself. It's easy to let the ball drop when it comes to myself. And I don't want to do that anymore. If I say I'm going to do something, especially if it's for myself, I want to make sure I get it done. What I'm practicing going forward is just building this history of trust with myself, this backlog of proof that I will show up for myself. And I think building trust with myself in this way will really help build my confidence going forward. I think it'll help me feel like I have control over my life again. And I'm excited to start giving myself the care and attention that I crave from other people or that I expect from other people. I want to start expecting it from myself. So if you are like me and you constantly tell yourself that you will get to it tomorrow, get to it today, or at least be honest with yourself and say like, okay, I really don't have the bandwidth to get to it today, but I care about this and I will make sure I get it done by this day. To give you the TLDR, I am tired of feeling like a phantom in my own life. I'm tired of feeling like a bystander as life just passes me by, feeling like I have no control and feeling like everyone else in life is doing this whole thing better than I can. I want to feel like an active participant, and I am putting these systems and strategies in place to help me do that, but I'm still learning along with you. I think like anything in life, these systems require flexibility, these systems require grace, peace and kindness. So these things might change and they might flex and grow with me as I experience new things or as I learn new things about myself. So if anything changes, I will let you know. But I would also love to hear what you have in place for yourself, if anything. If you have any routines that you stick to because it helps you feel more present in your current life. If there's any routines that you like to have that make you feel more productive and that you're actually working toward goals and chipping away at these long-term things that you'd like to achieve. I'd love to talk about it in the comment section below. Again, I'm still learning with you, so any advice that you have for our community here would be greatly appreciated, not just for me, but I'm sure everyone else in this community as well. So, with that being said, I want to thank you all for being here. I am so excited at how this community has grown. We're just about at 473 subscribers as I'm filming this, and I still can't believe it. I imagine all of you in a room together and us chatting and talking about how we're just getting through this. It's crazy to me. So I want to thank you for your time and attention. I hope this video was helpful to you in any way. And I hope that you continue to grow and learn and show up for yourself, build trust with yourself, and become the reliable person in your life that everyone needs. On top of that, I am on other social platforms. If you want to come hang out with me elsewhere, on Instagram and on Substack, you can find me at Hunter is Kinda Cool. On TikTok, you can find me at Hunt is Not Cool. All links will be in the description box. But again, thank you so much for being here. A little bit more casual today, like always. I'll see you later.